Hi there. Welcome to LSB Feasters Radio Channel, where we keep great radio from the past alive just by sharing Airchecks and other odds and ends from the radio business. Today, we are featuring an Aircheck from probably one of the most outrageous talk show hosts ever. I'm talking about the one and only Tom Leykis. Tom actually started out as a jock and would do funny things with Mark Simone on WPIX New York, and then Howard Hoffman at WABC back around 1980-81. But eventually, Tom went out on his own and then moved into talk radio and managed to do talk radio in places like Boston, Miami, Phoenix at KFYI, and eventually made it to KFI Los Angeles. He spent several years there before leaving KFI and then moving on to KLSX 97 in Los Angeles, getting his own national talk show. Tom started out his radio career as a serious talk host, but after some time in syndication, he evolved that show into almost what some people call a shock jock talk show. Tom's show evolved into a really unique mix of men's topics, money, and pop culture. And it became fairly popular, was on many stations across the country. It's the one and only Tom Leykis on 97.1 KLSX Los Angeles.
From Hollywood, it's the Tom Leykis Show.
This is your game now, gentlemen.
And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning into the Tom Leykis Show. And, things are bad. They are really bad. As we heard at least one caller in the last hour let us know that things are horrible for him. And we do like to take your pulse. And I'm just amazed that people think not the majority of people, obviously, because the ratings we have for this show are the highest they've been in over 6 months. And I know that by talking about the issues that people really care about, that, well, yeah, you're doing a public service, but of course you also are doing your job, which is to get the most number of people to listen in. It's my gig. I'm in the ears business. I need as many of them as I can get. And people want to hear other people talking about the issues they really care about. It's the key to my business. So, yes, I'd love to have happier things to talk about, but I have always talked about the things people talk about most. And that's what I'm doing here as I find out from you how bad things are out there at 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. How bad are things? Josh on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. Hello, Father.
How you doing, son?
I've had better. I've had worse, man. That's for sure.
Do tell.
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm so broke right now, I can't make my bankruptcy payment. It's coming up on my second month.
What is a bankruptcy payment?
It's for those people who are so broke like me they can't pay the lawyer. It's a payment plan for a bankruptcy lawyer.
So you can't afford to pay your bankruptcy lawyer?
Nope.
Now, what recourse? Now, I'm curious. Why would you want a job like that? Bankruptcy lawyer. What recourse does your bankruptcy lawyer have if you don't pay him?
If I don't pay him by the X amount of period of time, my payments are null and void, and he just keeps what I gave him.
Does he take back your bankruptcy? Does he?
Nope. I will start all over with being in just as bad situation as I am now, if not worse.
I mean, that's the perfect escape for anybody. You get your bankruptcy attorney to get you to file for bankruptcy. Then when he tries to collect, say, hey, I'm bankrupt. What do you want?
I wish it was that easy, my man. But you know what, Tom? Thank you for so much for staying in touch with the heart of the people, man. I appreciate it. And I was wondering if you could blow me up Kobe style and then lead me out with an African tribal chant.
Yes, I can.
This is about us. She's so special to me. You're a beat to my heart. You're the air I breathe. She's so special to me.
Baninge, 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 sopenza. Baninge, baninge, baninge sopenza. Kotele nenge asika mama. Oya kotele nenge asika mama.
It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Raphael on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Tom, you got to change the subject, man. You got to do it.
Well, most people say I shouldn't change the subject.
Well, I don't know, because, you know, like, I'm constantly being reminded here at my job that we're going to get laid off, so I figure me and a couple of my coworkers, well, let's go back to the shack and listen to Tom Leykis. He'll pump our spirits up. Then we listen to you, and you have a guy crying. You got this pussy over there crying. And like, now my friends are all depressed, too. I'm like, come on, our father will bring us back up.
All right, well, coming up in an hour, we'll have Leykis 101, and then we will completely have changed the topic.
Can you take me out with a bong rip and a Snoop Dogg style?
Yes. Here you go. Biatch. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Eric on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Tom, how you doing, man?
I'm okay.
Long time, first time. You know, I typically sit back and listen to what you have to say, and today I feel like I needed to chime in a little bit. I'm on neutral ground here. I agree with both sides. This is definitely a depressing topic. I agree with you for bringing, shedding some light on it and talking about it every day. I understand it's a little bit depressing, and yeah, we're used to some entertainment from you, but, you know, when you got guys calling up a second ago, you know, spilling his guts, crying on the air, you know, it's just a testament as to exactly how bad it is. I don't think a lot of these people out there realize that, and I'm in a similar situation. I'm not quite living out of the back of my car yet, but, you know, I'm 29 years old. I'm at the age of 23, had a steady job. I bought my first property in Arizona, not to flip or anything like that. I lived in it when I lived out there. Moved out to California about 4 years ago, and, I prided myself on the fact that I haven't had to work for anybody else in about 4.5 years. I had a small graphic design business, and I'm also in the entertainment industry. And here it is, 2009, 29 years old. I now have a vacant place in Arizona that I can't get rented, so I'm making a mortgage payment on top of rent, which you know is not cheap out here. And both of my industries, the entertainment industry, can't get its act together, and in terms of graphic design, not a lot of people are spending money on anything right now either. And, the one thing I wanted to share with everybody, and especially this guy that called in, and, I know I'm a little long-winded, but, the one light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, bright side to this whole thing, if there is one, is the fact that he's not in this alone. We're all kind of in this together. And, from a personal standpoint, I've taken initiative and talked to my landlords and said, you know what, I don't want to walk out on a lease. I need you to work with me. I'm talking to my creditors and doing the same thing. And people are definitely willing to work with you these days. I just want to let this guy know that this story of him living in the back of a van someday is going to be a great story to tell his grandkids if he has any, but, to keep his head up and realize that he's not the only one out there, man. There's ways of getting out of this.
Eric, thank you for that. I appreciate the call. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's the telephone number. Bill on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
How you doing, Tom? First time, long time.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, Tom, I'm your age. I'm one of those guys that played by the book, never got married, no kids, started my business 27 years ago. I've worked over 100 hours a week to the bone, like you can't believe. I've become a millionaire. Right now, I am shaking in my boots. Just literally.
Why?
No, none of my customers are paying me.
What kind of business are you in?
I'm in the fabricating. I fabricate plastic, and I've had customers for many, many years. All of them are in trouble. And it's a scorched earth type of way of paying people. They are covering their own rear ends, and it is just the worst I have ever seen.
Wow.
I've never missed a payment on a mortgage. I own my industrial building. I own a residence. I actually, literally, have made an offer recently on a house in 90210. And now I'm almost scared that they might accept my offer.
Wow. Well, you can always get out on contingencies. You know that.
I know.
The inspector can come in and say he smells a rat, and that's it.
That's right. But, I eat at all the same restaurants you do, Tom. I have a beautiful girlfriend that is just, for my age. She's a 10 by far. I walk down the street in Beverly Hills. Other guys literally turn their head and walk into light poles. Light poles, she's so beautiful. That's because I follow almost all the things that you say. Work hard, never got married, never had those dumb kids, paid all my bills on time, never was late on a mortgage bill, never. And because of the rest of the earth is irresponsible, I'm the one now. I'm the one who worked over 100 hours a week for 27 years. I'm the one now that's getting it.
There's a lot of people in that boat. People who played by the rules. By the way, people like you and me both played by the rules. And now, look, as a taxpayer, we have to cover the asses of people who were irresponsible.
You don't know. You do know. What I pay in taxes is unbelievable.
Sure. Believe me, I can support several families on what I paid in taxes in 2008 alone.
That's right. And so all these people out there having kids left and right, I'm working an extra 50 hours a week for you guys. I hope you all like it. Because when I go bankrupt, I ain't going to laugh. I ain't going to cry. I ain't going to worry about it when you guys are out in the street and there isn't hard workers like me paying your bills so you can sit at home and watch Oprah all day long.
Do you really think that's a possibility, that you'll go bankrupt?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to possibly start selling assets. I mean, I've got a certain amount of time where the crap will hit the fan, I got an overhead, a nut to turn every month that most people couldn't even conceive of. The average person couldn't even pay my taxes, couldn't even pay my monthly nut with their year's salary,
Wow.
So when things stop, this all started maybe back in September. Everything was fine, and all of a sudden, the whole world came to an end. No one was paying their bills. I got one guy I'm suing for $90,000. What I have to go through court. I've been in the court system for months. What they let these little rats do is unbelievable. And by the time I'm done going after his assets, he might not have 1 cent left over.
This is really outrageous, and it's like I say, it justifies our talking about this on the air. I think a lot of people out there have no idea how bad it is and how bad it could get.
1-800-5800-TOM. Leykis. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show.
Now with shorter commercial breaks, fewer commercials, and lots of phone calls about the things you care about at 1-800-5800-TOM. We're talking to you about how bad things are getting. Richard on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. This is Richard calling from Orange.
Yes.
How are you?
Great.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on a couple callers that really kind of offended me and a couple other people I'm talking with, and talked about that you were insinuating that you and part of the media is actually fueling the fire as far as how bad things are, when I think you're actually doing a commendable job. You should be appraised on. And your whole premise has always been, as long as I've been listening to you, which has been a long time, has always been about you're a what-is guy, not a could-have, would-have, and how's it go, would-have, could-have, should-have? That doesn't mean anything to you. And then you talk about what is, and what is reality is what's happening today in the marketplace, which is the credit's super tight. You miss you have one 30-day ding on your credit. All of a sudden you can go to penalty pricing. They can jack up your interest rates. This is unbelievable. And if you fall behind on your mortgage, you can't work out a payment plan. Generally, if you fall behind, they want 2 or 3 payments all at once, one lump sum, or nothing.
I know, and unfortunately, I guess there are people who yet haven't been touched by this, haven't been affected by this, and they're the ones who call in and complain when I do a show like this. But I know from the email we get, and I know from the recent ratings where we have gone to #1 in men, #1 in adults 25 to 54 among talk radio. I know that people are coming here for comfort. They're coming here to hear their friends and neighbors talk about the problem. It's almost like a big group therapy session when we do these hours.
Exactly. And one other thing I'd like to comment, then I'll let you go, is you used to preach, about 6 months of savings, and I don't know exactly when, maybe 4 or 5 months ago you changed it to 12 months. I'm even thinking you should preach 18 to 24 months of savings to have a real good, solid nest egg in case we go, who knows, we're in unprecedented territory in our lifetimes. Who knows how long this is going to go bad for?
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say is it's time for people to stop talking about flipping houses. It's time for people to stop talking about buying homes or real estate as investments. I mean, buying a house is a terrible investment right now.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And, people need a place to live, granted, but they don't need to have, what I've seen happen is, too, some people have one home, they borrow money against that one to buy 2 other homes. Now they've lost those other 2 homes. Now they're in danger of losing their principal residence, and they're going to be on the street.
By the way, that doesn't mean I don't think people should buy a house to live in. But I think people need to recognize you buy a house to live in, and that means you're going to stay there.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't matter whether the price of the house goes up or down, because you're not going anywhere.
Right, you can, like my parents bought a house like 40 years ago. They're still in the same home, so they've ridden all these times, and their house has been paid for a number of years, and they can weather these type of downturns in the economy.
Good points all, Richard. Thank you. 1-800-5800-TOM. Here's Jay on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom, how you doing, sir?
Great.
Right now, I am working on buying a home, or at least I thought I would buy a home. I have fairly good credit, and a year and a half ago, you told me not to buy a house when there was 100% financing, to save up for a large down payment. And
by the way, let's start with that advice I gave you. Was it right?
Oh, I couldn't appreciate it more, especially now that house prices have dropped at least $100,000 since you told me that.
And look at mortgage rates as well.
Thousands of dollars in mortgage rates, or thousands of dollars a year in savings, just in the amount of interest as well.
Just by waiting a year or two?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, you had a question.
My question was, it's going to be a primary residence, and I'm going to buy a house under what I actually qualify for. Is it still a good idea to buy? And I feel fairly stable in my position at work. Is it a good time to buy a house?
Well, again, stable in your position is very important. So make sure you do feel stable and that you have reason to feel stable. Also, you're talking about a house where you will live a minimum of 5 to 10 years. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
In a neighborhood that you love, so you won't be able to say, oh, this is just my starter house, my starter condo, my starter townhouse. That's not the goal here, is it?
No, I've had over a year and a half to research exactly where I wanted to live, so I've had over 2 years of research into it, so it's exactly where I want to be.
And you are prepared with about a 25% down payment, which is about what you're going to need right now.
20%. I'm over 700 with the credit score, and I've been at my position long enough. And
have you pre-qualified for a mortgage?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you know then that they want 20% down?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. I already have full pre-qualification.
Perfect. But the point is they told you how much down you're going to have to put.
Yes.
Okay. And you are prepared for the expenses of owning a house, which include property taxes, insurance, earthquake insurance, and maintenance, of course.
Well, now we lead to more questions. I was doing research on insurance. What do you think as far as having earthquake insurance in Los Angeles?
I have earthquake insurance. I have, $100,000 deductible. But I have earthquake insurance because I am concerned. By the way, it's not that expensive. You have a $100,000 deductible. But if it costs you $1 million to replace that house, or $750,000, $100,000 is a small price to pay to get $650,000 worth of house.
Well, I'm not nearly in the tax bracket that you are.
No, I understand that.
But,
I mean, what's the price of the house you're considering?
$300,000.
All right. Well, maybe then you don't need earthquake insurance. Maybe you can live without it. I still think if you can afford it, you should get it. But, all right, you should at least price it out and make sure that you're eliminating it for the right reasons. But anyway, so you understand all the expenses. Like, you may buy a house, and one hot, sunny summer could turn your roof into a sieve, and it leaks. Now, could you afford $5,000 to replace a roof?
Well, I got a 5-year warranty on the house.
So you have a particular house in mind?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, the timing is fantastic. And is this a bank property? Is this a foreclosure? What is it?
This is a short sale.
Short sale. Well, again, you're answering all the questions correctly. It sounds like you're buying for the right reasons. It's your primary residence. You're not buying it with the intention of flipping it. You're not concerned about what kind of investment this is. Your plan is to live there. You love the neighborhood. And you can afford all the costs of owning a home. And you say your job is secure.
Well, I mean, I feel fairly secure, and I'm an electrical foreman, so I mean, I'm in the construction field. I feel like I have backups as far as going to other companies that will take me on. But I mean, work is slow, yet I don't believe it's slow enough where I will be out of work.
Lots of people feel that way, so make sure you're right. In other words, you can never know for sure.
Well, it's only getting worse, I guess. So.
Right, because we have not even hit the bubble in commercial real estate bursting. And that's what I keep hearing. Many companies have long-term leases, and so you can't tell what would happen when their lease runs out. And some companies, when the lease runs out, will simply downsize further, leaving empty office space, and then the possibility that they won't need to build so many new buildings because there'll be so much vacant space.
Well, it's hard to process, all the financial information. You listen a little bit to CNN, and then you turn over and you listen to Hannity for a while, and you listen to Rush Limbaugh, and, everybody, states that, times are tough, but it's a matter of how bad are they really.
Well, and I do believe that rather than a crash like we had in 1929, it's like a balloon or a steel-belted radial that is slowly leaking air. You'll still get to the same place, but it's going to take you longer to get there. But I happen to believe, and I'll just tell you my belief based on what I'm doing. I don't believe we're going to just fall off a cliff. I believe this will stabilize at some point in the next year, and then it will start to plateau and then go the other direction. And I have continued investing in mutual funds during this whole time. And Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, he has begun investing in stocks. So I believe that it's bad, it's going to get worse, but then it's going to turn around at some point.
Okay. I believe that as well. Like you said, it's not a crash of the original Depression, but it is a downfall.
Right. But again, you know all the facts. You have the big down payment. And so I say, if you feel confident enough in your job and you feel confident that you can afford the costs of owning a home, this is probably the best time in your lifetime to buy a home. You'll never find a home that you... What area are we talking about?
Palmdale.
Palmdale. $300,000, you said?
Yeah, well, that's why I've been researching for so long. And it's such a large house on, a fairly amount of property.
And you can afford to commute to work near where you live?
I do live. I will no longer be working in Los Angeles. I'll be working closer to Valencia, so fairly close, yeah.
Sounds pretty good to me, Jay. Best of luck to you.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
It's the Tom Leykis Show, now heard 6 days a week. Don't forget our Saturday edition every Saturday, 2 to 6 p.m. 2 to 6 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk here in Los Angeles. And, of course, if you can't hear our Saturday edition because you don't live in Southern California, you can always go to blowmeuptom.com. Click on the Listen Live button. It's blowmeuptom.com. In fact, if you're ever in a place where you cannot hear our show, don't forget blowmeuptom.com. That's how you do it. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. We're trying to find out how bad things really are out there. Rick on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Oh, hi, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a first-time caller.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I think people really do not know how bad things are. I'm living proof of that. From the outside, you'd never know anything, and I think everybody else is still living that way, and I hope and pray that you really push this message and let people know how bad it is. I currently live in a house, I don't even know anymore, but it was about $3,300,000. I live in Orange County. I have horses on my property. I have celebrity neighbors. I have a Range Rover, the new Jag. I have the whole thing. I do real estate. I basically became a celebrity in that, which plays the role of what I'm trying to talk about. Now my job and my business has gone down to nothing. I went from making about $1,400,000, $1,200,000 a year to nothing. So, it's hard on many levels. It's tough emotionally and, all the way around. I'm just wondering, what do you advise, where could people go that don't drink, and you try to talk to people about it, and they kind of think you're somewhat of a big downer, and they don't even want to be around it. It's just something people don't like to just naturally talk about.
Yeah, well, that's why we do a show. By the way, that's why we do a show like this, because there are people like you who do want to talk about it. I have got to believe that
I have nowhere to go. I have no one to talk to. I'm one of those other ones that I only owe $200,000 on my home, but yet I have a barn keeper who's $1,100. My gardener is $550. My cars are paid for, so I'm not being kicked out on the street, but my friends, my family, they're all so proud of me. And meanwhile, now I feel like I'm nothing.
Well,
and no one's talking about that.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about that right now, because you can't define yourself by what you have.
It's hard, Tom. It's hard.
I know, but
once you have it, it's hard.
I understand that it's hard to give it up. But these are two separate issues we're talking about. Giving it up is one thing, but defining yourself by what you have is something totally else. Now, people hear me on the radio all the time talking about being a multimillionaire, which is true. And I've discussed that a lot. But the reality is I've lived with a lot less than what I have today. I have a life that goes beyond my profession. There are many things that I do with my weekends or my vacations I don't even talk about on the radio, simply because they are personal things that I do for myself. I'll talk about some of them. I have interests now in photography. I have interests in cooking. I have interests in just spending quiet time thinking. I have friends who are not in my business. Many of them do not do what I do or anything that resembles what I do for a living. I do not go to trade conventions like broadcasting conventions anymore. I don't define myself by what I do for a living. It's a job. And as far as money is concerned, I have friends who've seen me with money, and friends who have seen me dirt poor. And I've had the same friends, in some cases, for 30 years or more. You can't define yourself by the money. You have to carve out a part of your life that has nothing to do with how much money you have. And you have to think of yourself as having more worth than just the money.
I don't have an education, and I understand that, and I get it, but to transfer over from, I'm like I said, my lifestyle probably wouldn't change, and I also have had friends for many, many years. I'm 44 years old. But the point is how do I go without this education from making whatever to, I swear to, I can't even, I'm not qualified for anything.
Well,
there's got to be a bunch of people like me, and I don't know what to do.
Well, first of all, you obviously have to cut your lifestyle, if not to the bone, cut it back. Maybe you don't need a gardener.
Well, then you're afraid that your house is going to,
yes, but you always have the opportunity. If you're going to sell a house, you have the opportunity to hire a landscaper to do a one-off right before you're putting the house up for sale. You do not have to have a groundskeeper. And you have to look around at your life, and you have to look at the things you can live without. Believe me, there's a lot of things you can live without that you have right now. The other thing is, if your friends are friends, you can tell them about your fears, and you can tell them what's happening to you.
Right.
If they're your friends. And by the way, if you tell this to someone and they laugh at you or they shun you, guess what? That wasn't a friend anyway.
You're right, but I keep asking the same thing, and you're answering, and I'm sorry I'm not getting it, but I guess where I have to figure something out, I can't afford now to go to a therapist to kind of ask them, how do I get over, and I can't do it.
Understand also,
so
listen.
Humiliated. I don't know. I can't.
I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, this is the other thing I was going to tell you. There are resources. There is a county mental health department. If you check the blue pages of the phone book, where they provide these services on a sliding scale, which includes going in to see a therapist or going into a group situation where you're talking with other people who are going through the same problems you are.
Where's that again, Tom?
Look in the blue pages of your phone book and look up under the county the mental health department.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, there are services available that your tax money over the years that you've done so well, your taxes have paid for that.
Yeah.
All right?
I respected that guy that said he's buying a house in 90210. I thought, my taxes were $225,000 every quarter. I mean, it's to go from one thing to the complete opposite is, I really don't know if our minds are set up to handle that kind of nonsense. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, again, go use the resources that are available that your tax money paid for all those years you worked so hard.
Yeah.
They are there. And I guarantee you there is group therapy. There are groups that are discussing these issues right now.
Awesome, Tom. Tom, I really appreciate it, and more power to you, and I hope that you keep, having this on the air, and the people that say that take it off the air, not good.
All right, Rick. Well, thank you, and good luck to you.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
From Hollywood, 1-800-5800-TOM. It's our telephone number. How bad is it out there? Mick on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom is a devoted listener, and my son as well, and I'm glad that you had me on the show. I'm 49 years old, and I've had my own business for 35 years in Newport Beach as a contractor, and this recession has started at least 2 years ago. I felt it slowly, gradually coming on, and now it's been 3 or 4 months since I've even had a job. And I was blessed to get a pool job, and I clean 80 pools a week. I make zip as for money.
What were you doing before you were a pool man?
I was a painting contractor, and I do exclusive homes like Kobe Bryant's and quite a big clientele there. And it's just a terrible life now. I mean, I have days I can't even eat. It's real bad, and I feel so bad about the guy living in his van because that's how I feel when I'm living in a boat.
Wow.
So it's and you're not even allowed to do that in Newport Beach. If we get caught, we're really in trouble. So,
oh my!
Yeah, so it's tough times for all, and I consider this a depression, not a recession. And I've been through recessions, and this is probably the toughest one that I've ever been in. And I assume that's the same with most.
Yeah, well, I know it's tougher than 1990. It's tougher than 1981. And it's definitely tougher than 1975. 1975 is the worst I'd ever seen.
Yes, it's really bad. And I just hope, I pray that something happens in the future that we will have an outcome that's going to be much better than this. And I think maybe we can learn from it. I'm not sure. But I'm telling you, I've gone through some times that I really don't know how much longer I can take this. And I don't even date anymore because I can't afford to go out on a date. And that's pretty embarrassing.
Wow. Well, Mick, good luck to you, and thank you very much for calling in.
Hey, well, take me out with a bong toad.
All right, Mick, here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. And we're trying to find out from you how bad things really are. They're pretty bad. Sam on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Sam.
Hey, let me tell you, man, you are the real man talking about the real issues. And I love you and I respect you and I thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you for noticing.
Yeah, man, I don't understand how come some people are so ignorant and they're calling the show and they're acting like nothing going on here in the country. And at the other hand, they can listen people, they're almost crying over the phone telling you their stories.
I mean, if these phone calls don't tell you how bad things are, what will?
Yes, sir, I agree with you, man. I love you, and just keep it up the good work, and God bless you and the devil, too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. This is Lee on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. Hey. Absolutely, unequivocally riveting radio you have going on today.
Thank you.
I did some research for your listeners. Some of those listeners are boneheads for having their heads in the sands and the blinders on. Same thing Bush had for 8 years. They've been tracking this since September. September job losses for that month was 224,000. October, 334. November, 476. December spiked at 659, and January was 522. And according to that one caller that you had that was living in his van, if that don't tell the people out there what's going on, nothing will.
And at this time, it's not getting any better. I do believe that sometime in the next year to 18 months, it is going to turn around at that time. I don't think it's just going to keep going down. But we're in for a rough ride now. And we all need to pull our belts in, and we all need to work a little harder and a little smarter. And we all need to reach out to our friends and family members to make sure they're all okay.
Oh, I agree. And I think he should really call up his parents, and I mean, that's what they're there for. But even in my neighborhood, I live in an exclusive neighborhood. It's gated. At least 60% of my neighbors have lost their homes, and these are hardworking people that just hit hard times, lost their jobs, and within 2 or 3 months, they didn't say, well, like the Leykis rules, but they lost everything. It's just sad. Even at work, I'm in the construction industry, management, and people are just ducking under their desks. I mean, when they see a VP walking by, is this going to be the day that I lose my job? And the whole office is working their tails off trying to find the work, but it's just very slim out there. I've been in the business 27 years, and I have never seen it this bad.
I agree with you, Lee, and I thank you for that. Christy on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. Love your show.
Thank you.
I just have to say that the whole reason we're in this situation is greed. And when
wait. Who's greed?
The top dogs in Wells Fargo and all these other companies.
See, I don't agree with that. I'm going to tell you why. There is greed for sure. But greed was not just executives. Greed was the average moron who read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and said, I'm going to buy 5 houses and flip them.
I completely agree with that.
I mean, that's greed, too.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we're here. We're here because of greed. And people who say, I have this $3-point-some million home and now I'm broke and I have no money, well, that's your fault. You should have been putting money away. I make $150,000 a year. I'm not rich. I live a good life. I put my money away. And now I'm in this place, this recession, and I'm not scared because I put money away and I can take and tighten my belt and know that I'm okay. And these people who make all this money, who didn't take care of themselves, shouldn't be calling you and crying. Well,
I do believe people should live beneath their means when times are good. And unfortunately, people not only don't live beneath their means, people live beyond their means, figuring that things are going to keep getting better. And then when they don't, they call radio shows and whine. There's no doubt about that. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Tim on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello. David on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How you doing today?
Great.
Okay, here's my theory on this whole recession. Recession, when you look in the dictionary, it should be called post-greed. I agree with your last caller. What has happened is people have went out and financed toys to go to Glamis and boats to go to Havasu and huge houses and all this. And now that the economy's slowing down, they start complaining and start crying. Here's my theory on the economy. I own a small business. I employ 6 to 8 people at any given time. We haven't slowed down one bit because as soon as I seen that the work was slowing down, I dropped my prices by 20%. And I've actually gained more work than I can keep up with right now.
Well, that's, it's a smart business. And I think a lot of people are probably as smart as you. A lot of people continue to work. If you price your services appropriately to the demand of the marketplace, you should continue to be working.
Exactly. That's the thing is, over the past few years, things have been marked up so high because everyone wants to make that $1 million on the one deal. Don't make $1 million on one deal. Make $1 on 1,000,000 deals and keep everything moving.
Good points, David. Thank you for that. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Carlos on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Tom?
Not much, Carlos.
Hey, I wanted to comment on a sentiment and attitude that I've noticed, like at work. Last year, people, I hear them at work saying things like, when they're working, man, I wish I could be out. It's such a nice day, out playing out on the beach, things like that. And now, I'll go up to someone and say, hey, how you doing? He's like, well, it's a job, I'm just lucky I have a job, And it amazes me how the attitude now, they don't take it for granted, that they do have a job. And I thought it was pretty amazing.
I think you're right. People should be happy that they have a gig. I'll tell you what, I'm happy I'm standing here right now.
Hey, I wanted to ask you another thing. See, your thoughts on this. I have several friends that are servers, and, maybe, our economy or social classes are really splitting up to, like, erasing the middle class because, I have a friend that serves at Cheesecake, and business hasn't slowed down at all. I have a friend who's a server at Denny's, and he says, his tips are, like, cut in half now, like, not as many people coming through for brunch and things like that.
Yeah, I know. Denny's was giving away breakfast this week, giving it away. It was a big promotion with the Super Bowl. Anyway, thank you for the call. I got to run here. Our email address is my name. It's Tom at blowmeuptom.com. Don't forget, every Saturday, 2 to 6 p.m.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. 97.1 FM Talk.